What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is David Hanlon, aka the Laptop Legend, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about the stocks that you guys need to be watching for tomorrow because there's going to be some insane opportunities in this market. We've had an incredible start to February and I just want to continue this momentum. I'm already up almost $63,000 on the month, and it'd be really cool if I could break $100,000 this month. So that is my goal, and I'm taking you guys along for the ride. Now, hopefully you've used this extra time over the long weekend to be studying as much as you can, because the most important account to grow is your knowledge account, not your trading account, because without your knowledge account, you're not going to be able to take advantage of all these opportunities in this crazy market. So focus on studying. Take some time to go watch as many of my YouTube videos as you can. There's a lot of other good YouTubers out there who talk about these stocks, the same plays, and I've been studying a ton this weekend as well, and I've actually got a lot of new helpful insight that I think is going to really help you guys to have a more in-depth perspective about the stocks that I'm talking about. So hopefully this extra insight will make my advice even more valuable for you guys. Before I use that word, let me just say I'm not a financial advisor. Always consult a professional. It's not technically advice. This is all entertainment. I'm just a dude in my basement, but it is how it is. And let's dive into these charts and talk about what we're going to be trading tomorrow. Also, my marriage yesterday went really, really well, so I appreciate all the beautiful remarks, the kind remarks, the kind comments that you guys left. If I didn't respond to your comment, I apologize. There were hundreds and hundreds. I did my best to respond to all of them, but they just keep coming in, and man, you guys are really, really kind. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for that. All right, guys, so I'm here at my computer, and this is what I have pulled up for you guys today. I've learned a lot of things in the last, just this weekend, honestly, with all the studying that I've done. So again, I'm going to try to transfer that knowledge to you guys. So something that you're going to want to do is actually pull up these charts. So I recommend having 5 days with 5 minutes, if that makes sense. So I actually got to fix that one right there so you can see it a little bit better. Then you want 10 days. Or 15 days if you can have it with 15 minutes, and then I like to have 1 month or 30 days with 30 minutes, and this lets you get a better sense of the overall consolidation on the chart, and it's really going to help you to find those key levels and the key breakout levels in terms of managing your risk better, getting better entries, and not just randomly buying on a dip. I mean, that's been working pretty well, but I want to continually level up my trading and be able to hold longer with larger size to maximize my position profit, if that makes sense. And something that I was hearing about was the fact that a lot of times you'll get these nice consolidation periods in stocks, and then you'll get a huge spike up where volume comes in. It gets a massive spike, and then it gets a tank, and then it consolidates, kind of halfway between that. And that's what you're looking for. And then it starts to pop up, get some more volume. That's when you want to take an entry, and you can risk off of that consolidation level. Because after that, once it comes in here and it breaks out past this high, that's typically when it goes on the big run. But if you're chasing the entry here, it's not always a super, super clean breakout. So if you're trying to buy here with size, at this point, you don't really have a good risk level because you can't risk off of down here. If you're buying it with size here, that's too big of a loss. So it's better to start taking positions in here when you see the volume coming back in. You see that it's holding up its gains pretty well, because again, this went from 3 cents all the way up to 26 cents, came back down, fell, bounced off of 8 cents, and was consolidating above that. It was consolidating at around 16 cents. 16, 17 cents. And the fact that it held up here pretty nicely, got some more volume, and continued consolidating upwards was a really good sign on this. And I'm seeing something pretty similar in terms of what we're looking at right now. So you can see here, OZSC did kind of a second leg. So it broke through these highs, had a massive day, rejected off of 50 cents. And now this area is kind of the new low, if that makes sense. But if we go halfway between this previous consolidation area at 16 all the way up to 50, it's kind of right around in this area, and that's where it's consolidating right now. And I really, really like to see that, because the more sideways action that we have, the better the breakout is going to be when the volume starts coming in. And you can see, I actually, again, was not here on Friday to see the end of day when it broke past this level and started to get some nice volume into close, because again, I was picking up my marriage papers. But this thing is really setting up to have a really, really nice spike. And maybe we could get another day of consolidation, but this could very easily start coming back up. So I would potentially look for, more of a swing entry on OZSC, and I would consider being okay with that. And, you're going to have to take some smaller size because you can't risk 5 cents a share, down to 28. If you're taking massive size. But I think you could start adding to a position here and, continue adding as it continues to go your way and potentially have some nice size for that breakout of 50 cents. So, I'm going to be looking for that hard on OZSC. And again, in the meantime, these panic dip buys are always nice, but I want to get better about maximizing my trades. If I take 100,000 share size, I don't want to be like scared out and, take half a cent a share gain. If I can hold that for 10 cents a share, I'm going to be really, really banking. That's 10 grand right there. So I really got to focus on these plays, and I think you guys should do that as well because we're seeing so many of very similar plays where you get a nice consolidation period, a spike up, and then a tank, and then consolidation period, a spike up that breaks past that, and it just plays over and over and over and over and over. And I can't believe I didn't see this before, so it's really cool to see. So MIDI, to me, it kind of looks like a pretty similar thing. We have this nice, massive spike up, and from what, 10 cents all the way up to 60 cents, and it comes back down, but it's consolidating above that, 50% drop area, above that 50% drop area, which is nice. And man, this thing continues to hold. We get some good news, breaks past these highs, like it's going to be incredible. And that's why I'm continuing to add to my position. Anywhere under 40, I think is a great add. Anywhere in this area, I think is a great add. And I'm continuing to add shares. I have 80,000 shares of MIDI now. And if we get a huge drop, man, I'm going to be adding huge. But, for the meantime, I'm just going to keep adding under 40 because when this breaks, man, it's really going to be going. And, yeah, based on what I'm seeing, we should be getting the 10K, which is the annual financial forms. And, again, where the company is in this stage of growth, it's not going to be profitable, and I don't think anyone is expecting it to be profitable. So if you expect it to be profitable and it comes out and it has losses, you might as well sell now because it's not going to be profitable at this point, but that's okay because it's in the growth stage. And what we are hoping to see on there is the removal of that convertible debt. So hopefully that will be on the 10K that should be coming out sometime this month or, at least in the next few weeks, even if it's, early March. That is what I would be expecting on MIDI, still adding to that. Hard. ALYI, this, had a beautiful panic dip buy, and man, so many red candles, absolutely nailed this. I got really big size, but I need to be better about being more patient. And I say that a lot in the Discord, but I actually mean it now. I'm really gonna be trying to be working on being more patient because there's no point in getting huge size. I think, what I get? Did I get 100,000? What did I get? I don't remember exactly what I got, but my average was like 10.2, and I think I sold like in this first green candle, and it kept going a lot more. So I need to learn to be more patient. And if you look at the overall chart on this, right now we're seeing kind of something similar. So, we see in all these OTC stocks, man, I feel like they did it on the same day. So they had a bunch of green spikes, and then now they've got several red days in a row. And this one could definitely use some more consolidation, in my opinion. It kind of came back down and hasn't really found a bottom yet. Maybe around that, I guess that 10 cent area is where it really bounced off of. But if it consolidated a few more days in this area, and then it starts to perk up with volume and break out past, that 14 area maybe, or that 13 area, depending on where it consolidates. That is where I would look more for, maybe a couple day swing position on this. But for now, I'm still going to be focusing on those panic dip buys and, maybe those quick in and outs because I'm not positive where the bottom will be on this one yet. But, you can see it pulled back pretty nicely. It pulled back from 20 cents down to 10 cents. And now we need to see some consolidation. So if it can consolidate here, I'd be fine with that. Maybe it consolidates in the 15 to 16 range. That would also be fine. But that's what I'm watching for on ALY. Not going to rush into any positions yet because it needs to see some more consolidation before I really feel comfortable with that. And, that's some of the takeaways that I've gotten from all the studying that I've done this weekend. HCMC. Now, this is one that I didn't really talk about for a long time because the float is disgusting. It has 120 billion float, and man, it's gross. I don't typically like stocks that have that type of outstanding share structure, but in this case, it can only be ignored for so long. Again, they got a lawsuit going on that it sounds like they have the potential to win that could bring them a decent amount of money, and I don't know that I really care if they win the lawsuit, but at this point, it's making for some good plays, and The main thing on this one that I want to talk about is just basically what I did here and how I did it. So you can see I made 851 on this. If you watched my previous video, you already kind of know what I did on this, but just to recap very quickly, it had a really big panic. You can't see it super well there, maybe, yeah, so that's a little easier to see. It had a really big panic, and there was a ton of sellers. I was watching the level 2, and there was way more people on the ask selling than people on the bid buying. It was a very clear discrepancy. Imagine 100 million people selling and 20 million people buying. Obviously, it's going to keep moving down and moving down. But then right here at the bottom, we had a massive, I don't remember what it was, like 250 million, maybe 300 million, 400, 500 million. I don't remember exactly what it was, but whatever it was, it popped in on the bid, and it was at least like 10 times bigger than any other buyer that I had seen before at any cent level. And that immediately caused some people to start whacking away at the ask. And that's how I knew to take my first entry there. In the future, I'm going to be more aggressive with these trades. You know, I took 2 million shares on that first one, then I added another 1 million in here, and then I ended up selling all right here when it stalled out. And I mean, I still made 850 bucks. I could have taken a lot more size on that, and I could have made a lot more money. So level 2 on these OTCs is very, very important in predicting these bounces, you know, in 2 specific ways. Number 1 is when it's tanking hard, there's no big bidders, and then a huge bidder steps in. That's a pretty good sign that it's probably going to bounce. And number 2, this is a little more tricky to read, but when it's tanking hard, there's a ton of big sellers on the ask, and then they disappear. If there's no longer big sellers on the ask and it's already down a ton, there's a good chance that people are going to be willing to, you know, take a stab at a dip buy, and all it takes is a little bit of a turn, and suddenly it's got momentum going upwards, and boom, it's off to the races. So if you see those big sellers disappear, even if there's not a huge bid that steps in, it might be worth taking a stab at an entry. So just keep that in mind. And also, some other takeaways that I just want to share with you guys real quick are the fact that, you know, there's a lot of, I guess, fake out bounces on these big panics. And I'm trying to find a good example. Maybe MMFF. Maybe this is a good one. I'm trying to think here. This is one, again, that was just down so much. I guess this isn't really a great example. I'm trying to think of one. I can't really, maybe ENZC. Give me 2 seconds. Yeah, so you can see here, this is a good example. And this one, it came down right at open, had like a mini bounce, but then had a fake out and just kept tanking a lot more. And you can't hold through that. And so some of the really good traders who I was listening to this weekend are talking about the fact that, you know, there's a couple different things that they look for to know that it potentially might have a fake out. And one of those things is you have to look at, where did it turn the first time? At, what is that, 55 cents? Yeah, so you got to look at, you know, the overall chart on this thing. And man, it is down a lot. There's a couple red days, but what is the news on this thing? Like, do we know why it's up so much? Where's the catalyst? If there's good news, it's more likely to bounce. If it's down a ton off those highs, it's more likely to bounce. But, you know, it can be a little bit tough when you get faked out by this stuff. So you have to keep all of those things in mind. And man, some of these bounces can get a little tricky. You know, this one bounced, faded, and then found a second bottom. We're also seeing a lot of that. We're seeing a lot of double bottoms before, you know, the real big bounce. And some of the big bounces are a little bit more choppy. So you have to know that. That's kind of becoming a thing. So these double bottoms on the bounces, where the first bounce is quick but a little bit choppier, and then comes back down, fades back down, finds a double bottom, and then actually bounces a lot farther. So keep that in mind. That's another takeaway from this video that I just wanted to let you guys know. MMEX, this is another one, and this is the type of consolidation that, you know, I'm excited to see. And this had, again, a nice run up here, found a high, you know, what, 2.5 cents-ish, came back down, bounced off, and is now consolidating, you know, pretty much right exactly at 50% of that, you know, 2.5, and now it's 1.25. So if it continues to consolidate here, maybe another day or two, and then starts to spike up with volume, that'd be really nice. So that's what I'm looking for on this one, in addition to obviously the panic dip buys. But, you know, I would be more comfortable holding this with a little bit of size and potentially swinging overnight on these plays if it can consolidate here for a while and then start to perk up with some more volume, maybe break out past that, you know, 1.5 area, etc. So that's what I'm looking for on this stock, IPSI. This is another one that we've got, and this one has just pretty much been going straight up, man. It's just a lot of green candles. I feel like it could get a little bit more overextended, so we definitely have to see. I mean, it did close near these highs, so this could gap up and continue to run on Monday. But definitely be looking for, I guess, more of a spike before we see a nice morning panic. And I guess that was the other thing on the morning panics. If it's a ton of green days in a row, you know, you get 3 green days in a row, and then you get a huge, nice panic, you're probably going to get a nice, huge bounce. But if it's like several days of bleeding, and then you get a morning panic on the 3rd, 4th day of bleeding, like it's not guaranteed to bounce on that one. And it's kind of less likely, if that makes sense. The odds are less in your favor if it's, you know, not the first huge panic after a ton of overextended green days in a row. So just keep that in mind. Let's see, continue down the line, trying to keep it fast for you guys. AITX, this is another one where you can see nice little spike up, some consolidation, nice spike up, some consolidation, nice spike up with volume, some consolidation. So again, this time, this closed near the low of the days. I would expect there's a little bit more downside on this stock personally. That is what I would expect on this stock. We could definitely see some nice panic dip buys, but for me, in terms of, you know, seeing that spike up, the consolidation within that range, the perk up with volume, again, you see that volume start to come in right here. Like, that is a decent entry on this stock. So I would need probably some more consolidation in this area, and then to see it perk up and go over this level. So, you know, that is what I would be looking for on this particular stock. Don't want to rush into any swing positions just yet, but if we get more sideways action that now I'm actually excited to see instead of just being bored by it, sideways action is actually a good thing. It means it's holding those levels strong. There's no imbalance between buyers or sellers, and all it takes is a little spike in volume to get people interested again, and it can break through those previous highs. Let's keep going down the line. Man, I got a lot of stocks here for you guys. ENZC, I already talked about that one, but you know, you can see it's kind of like stair stepping down at this point, and it's seen a nice pullback, you know, from 95 all the way down to, you know, 50. What is it, 96 down to 48, 49. So, I mean, it's pretty much a 50% pullback at this point. So, ENZC, I would like to see some of that sideways action again. And again, we've seen a lot of stocks that had a ton of green days in a row and then like 2 or 3 red days in a row. I feel like all the OTCs are kind of going together. So, this one, I'd like to see some more sideways action before we get some spike ups again. And I would be willing to probably take some swing positions if we can get some sideways action. And then, you know, by late afternoon, if there's volume starting to come in, going into close, looking for some gap ups and some spikes out of the gap ups. That's what I would be looking for on ENZC, you know, besides, of course, those dip buys that I absolutely love eating up. TSMP, honestly, a pretty similar thing. You know, I was not a fan of this sideways action, but look at this. I mean, this is pretty nice. And it kind of faded down. You know, I wish it held this level a little bit better. But you can see here, you know, on the 1-month chart, it is holding that line really, really well, man. I mean, it's holding this line really, really well. 125, it has not broken under that at all. It's tested it twice and bounced off of it twice. So I may feel comfortable, you know, taking a stab at a swing position with some small size and risking off of this 125 area, because if it holds, it has a lot of upside. And, you know, after it's been consolidating for this many days, maybe we get some more consolidation. You know, this could see a couple more days of consolidation. That'd be nice. And then a spike up above that. I would love to see that. If it holds this 125 area, that's a really good sign for it breaking above these highs at 190, breaking $2, and then, bro, I mean, this thing could run. It could run a lot more. It could. Especially if we get, you know, some type of catalyst. You know, maybe the ticker change that has already been submitted to FINRA is going to come into effect. It's going to be soon. We know it's going to be soon. So maybe it's just at the right time to be the catalyst that this stock needs to push it past that consolidation, give it the volume, and then it runs past these all-time highs. So I would love to see that. I'd be willing to take some huge size if it starts popping up big. I'm not willing to hold huge size through a crack of 125 because there could be a big panic. Maybe it breaks down under $1. Again, that's still not out of the question at this point. But, you know, based on how well it's holding up these areas, I would think that it's probably going to come back and see a nice perk up in volume at some point and then break out past those levels. So if it gets above, probably above 150, I mean, maybe 145, it's a little bit tough to say because it did reject that kind of hard. So it's safer, obviously, if you take a stab at it in the 130 area, because then you're risking 125 and you cut there if it breaks that, versus taking a stab at 145 and then you have to cut at 125. So just keep that in mind. But I would love to see maybe a little more consolidation and then the ticker change, spike past that, spike past all-time highs. That would be beautiful. And we would bank on it. We would bank on it together. Absolutely. INKW. similar type of thing, man. You know, it's a little bit choppy. There's definitely less volume on this stock, but there's still 66 million. So you can see here, nice spike up, a little bit of consolidation, spike up, consolidation. It's easier to see on the 1 month, I would say. You know, spike up, consolidation, and it kind of rejected these high breaks, but it's still holding the gains really nicely. So I would like to see some more sideways action on this before it starts breaking out. And I mean, that's some pretty nice sideways action there. So make it like this. You can see a little bit of a dip at open, but not too much opportunity in regards to that. So this one, you just got to watch for the perks in volume and breaking past those key levels on this chart. You know, again, the 30 days, 30 minutes, 15 days or 10 days, 15 minutes, and just really be watching for those consolidation areas. And then when it starts to get some volume and perk up again, that is what we're looking for. That is what we're looking for in this area. Let's continue down the line. Just try to get to all these quickly. Man, this is already a long video, but I mean, God, we got so many stocks, guys. SING, this one, you can see, again, 3 red days in a row after a ton of green days. So this one, I would like to see it find a bottom. It did have a nice bounce off of that area. I mean, my goodness, look at that bounce. Beautiful. Had a fake out bounce here, though. That's what makes it a little bit tough. So just be watching for that, guys. Be watching for this one. I think I would like to see some more sideways action on this one as well. Honestly, to feel comfortable with it, I would like to see some more sideways action. So we'll see what it does, but I'm not going to rush into anything on this one just yet. You know, focus on the panic dip buys for now until we get some more sideways action. SING, let's see, SIRC. This one has some really nice sideways action, but the volume is just very low at this point. So, you know, I mean, it's had some morning panics, but it's holding up these levels pretty nicely here. And, you know, if it starts to perk up a little bit more, I'd be willing to take a stab at it. But again, the volume is pretty damn low. So just keep that in mind on this stock. You know, liquidity is going to be hard. I mean, there's some in here where, it barely trades anything, man. It trades 800 shares in 1 minute. I mean, if you're trying to take a 50,000 share position, even 100,000, I mean, a 10,000 share position, it's not really going to work. So just keep that in mind. SFOR, this is another one. This one is, I mean, coming back really nicely off of some of that consolidation. You can see here, I mean, closed right at the highs, high a day. I would probably expect this one to gap up. But I mean, it saw some nice consolidation there, guys. And this is really what we like to see. This is what we like to see, guys. So, I mean, you see this nice sideways action all day long, and then this volume starts to come in, and it breaks above this key level here, 21 intraday resistance. I mean, can't get any more textbook than this, guys. Multiple rejections earlier in the day, breaks out in power hour towards the end of the day, is able to hold it up, continue to spike on into close. I mean, if I'd seen this one, this would have been a good overnight, in my opinion. I expect this one to gap up on Tuesday, and, you know, we'll see what happens with it, but potentially it's going to break out over these highs, so definitely be watching for that. MINE is another one. And this one had some nice consolidation as well. You can see we got the sideways action. We got it pretty much, you know, consolidating at the 1 cent area, which is, you know, pretty much 50% down from this 2 cent area, which is where it bounced off of. And, you know, now it's starting to curl back up. Now it's starting to curl back up, close near those highs. So could this one continue to run? Absolutely. Absolutely it could. And, man, be watching for that. Gets back over 150, things start to get really, really interesting. Things start to get really, really interesting. God, there's so many, guys. There's literally so many. It's a 21-minute video. I'm sorry. I mean, TSOI, be watching it. Same thing. Sideways consolidation. If it breaks over this, it's going to be really, really nice. Really, really nice. I like this. I like this a lot. Get some increase in volume. Breaks out over 17. This could see a really nice run. BMIX, I just want to throw on your radar because this is some long consolidation, guys. I mean, look at that. That's a lot of consolidation. That's a lot of consolidation. So right now it's in between this area, you know, 5 cents and 3 cents. I think it's decent, you know, to take maybe a stab at it in this area if you're risking off of that 3 cent. If we start to see a perk up in volume, so you know, risking off of, or maybe you want to do 2.5 to be safer. It just depends on what you're comfortable with. Maybe the 3 cent area, but I mean, this is some nice sideways action. So if this continues to hold these levels and then spikes up some more, I think it could get interesting. SHMP, this one, I just want to show you guys because I think it's a perfect example of what we could see. Let's go here. Of what we could see out of OZSC, in my humble opinion, if it breaks past those 50 cent levels. And my goodness, man. I mean, sideways action, lots of sideways action. Comes back up. You know what? Maybe 3 months is easier. Yeah, so you can see here, breaks up, rejects off of 50. I mean, 49. But then it consolidates sideways for a long time. When it rips through 50 cents, I mean, it goes up and touches, you know, pretty much 90 cents, and now it's consolidating after that. And there was a nice little panic dip buy in here, but this was such a quick bounce, very hard to get executed, and pretty low volume. But just looking at OZSC again one more time so you guys can see there's some nice sideways action that's going on with OZSC. We're getting some nice sideways action. So I really think that this could, pop up, break out over 50 cents, and, maybe test $1, test 80 cents, test 90 cents. And if you can get 10,000 shares for that type of run, man, even 1,000 shares if you have a small account, that is a really nice game. And you don't have to risk too much, man. You don't have to risk too much. You can risk that 28 cents level. So I think it's going to be a nice play. MJNA is another one, and seeing some nice consolidation here finally. Seeing some nice sideways action in this area. It seems like it found a bottom around that 8-cent area. So I mean, we get some more volume. This thing could definitely come back, and potentially is worth taking a swing if it can get over and hold over that 1-cent area. So we'll see what it does on Tuesday. Man, HQGE. This is another one, guys. I mean, there's so many plays. There's so many stocks that you need to be watching. This one is just coming back down off of those spikes. So I'm always watching for these panic dip buys. That was a beautiful one. Absolutely beautiful. I don't think I got filled on this particular stock. But man, don't miss these opportunities, guys. This one needs some more consolidation, I would say, before it comes back. And yeah, dip buys, dip buys, dip buys. SMRX. This is a good example of, when a panic dip buy doesn't really happen cleanly. I mean, you see that, you're thinking, wow, this is bouncing hard. But it really doesn't. It's a 50% drop, and then it just does not bounce cleanly. So this is when it can be tricky. You can take a big loss on this one, and got to be careful. But it is sort of consolidating now at this point. But you got to keep in mind, how much it's up. We go longer and longer frames. I mean, it had a nice consolidation period here, breaks out with volume, and just goes on a nice run. So if we can continue to consolidate in this area, it could be nice, but we definitely need some more days of consolidation on this before I feel comfortable, taking any type of swing. And then lastly is WNW. Again, I talked about this one on Thursday when it spiked up hard and held its gains. And man, you could see when it holds its gains after hours, it actually tanked more than I thought it would. But I mean, luckily it was able to come back, break out past those after hours highs, spike up huge, and then close near the highs, and still hold its gains pretty nicely. So depending on what this does, this could continue to go. Again, look up KOSS if you don't remember what these stocks can do. Look how high that went. I mean, this thing is insane. A lot of potential on these stocks, so just be aware of that. That is it for this video, guys. My goodness, this is super long. I apologize for how long this video is. Hopefully you found it helpful. Hopefully you found this new insight in terms of the consolidation above or around that 50% of the bounce area, and then starting to spike up with volume. Hopefully you found that helpful. Hopefully we can start to be a little bit more patient and get more gains out of these really good plays, because it's such a hot market. It doesn't make sense to be taking your gains, 0.5 cents or whatever. So I want to definitely be a little bit more aggressive while this market lasts, understanding that it won't last forever, understanding that longevity is the most important thing that we can do as a trader, because if you put yourself in the position where you're building bad habits, you're going to blow up when the market slows down, and it doesn't matter how much you make now if you can't keep any of it. So that is the number one priority, building good habits right now. So yeah, that's it for this video, guys. I appreciate all your support. Honestly, all the kind comments about my marriage, really appreciate it. You guys mean the world to me. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. I'll see you in the Discord tomorrow. Until then, let's grow better together. Preguntar, bebé, dime por qué te mientes. No puedes esconder todo lo que tú por mí sientes.